Hey, welcome to Blender. Today I'm going to show you how to make a simple cup. When I first open a general file in the program, it gives me three objects: a camera, a cube, and a light. They're also listed on the right side of the screen under Scene Collection: camera, cube, and light in alphabetical order. Just like most projects in Blender, we're going to delete the cube. So just click Delete on your keyboard. By the way, anything that I'm doing here, clicking or typing, is going to be listed in the bottom right of the viewport. For this project, we're going to add a cylinder. Shift-A to add a mesh. Scroll down and select Cylinder. In the bottom left of the viewport, Add Cylinder. Let's click that drop-down or that caret, and it shows us a little more information about this object. We're going to leave it at 32 vertices, which is how many vertices there are on this object. Under Cap Fill Type, we want N-gon. So if it's not already selected, select N-gon, which means that this object is filled. It's not an empty cylinder. Go ahead and select the drop-down caret and minimize that information. Next, we're going to go over to the top right of our viewport and select this archery arrow, which lists our gizmos. Under Object Gizmos, select the checkbox for Move. And you'll notice that it gave us this little arrow system on the object. These arrows are aligned to the axes. Within the viewport, this hot pink arrow aligns to this hot pink axis, and this lime green arrow aligns to this lime green axis. Also in the top right of the viewport, you can select the associated letter for these different axes: X, Y, and Z. And see the object rotate and move in those ways, which is really helpful when you're working through a scene. What we're going to want to do is move this cylinder so that it's seated on top of the green and pink lines on the floor. So we can grab this gizmo and do that, but the clearest view is a side view, using X or Y or Z in the top right of the viewport. So let's just click on X. We're going to grab that blue arrow and drag the cylinder on top of the green line. If I click and hold my middle mouse button, then it allows me to navigate around the cylinder, and I can see that it's seated on top of those lines now. I can also scroll with the middle mouse wheel in and out to see that object. Another thing that you can do is select Shift, click and hold middle mouse to move the floor around the screen along with the object. So those are just a few ways that we can move and navigate around the screen or around the object in order to interact with our object. And speaking of object, we're going to be working with two modes today, top left of the viewport. And it starts us in object mode. If you choose the caret dropdown, you can see all of the available modes. And since we're in object mode, and let's say we want to go back to edit mode, just hit Tab on your keyboard. And you can navigate between edit and object. Now what's the difference? Object mode allows us to move and navigate the entire object. And all of these views to the top right here of the viewport allow us to interact with this object as well. Let's click through them. X-ray allows us to see through the object. When it's selected, you can see that the cylinder is semi-transparent. Let's say that I select X-ray along with the wireframe view. Now I can see through it, and I can see all of the edges and faces on the object as well. Let's deselect that one. Now we can't see through it, but we can still see all the faces. In solid mode, taking off X-ray again allows us to see the object in its solid state. The last two are the material and rendering previews that we'll be using later. For now, let's hit Tab and look at the object in edit mode. In edit mode, the three ways that you can interact with the object are through vertex, edge, and face. It automatically selects vertex, which shows us all of these little dots on the object. For this cylinder, there are 32. If I selected each of these individual, let's say I wanted to select a few in a row, then I can hold down Shift and select a few of these. And let's say that I wanted to move those faces. You can see how you can interact with the object. Right-click to cancel that action, or let's say that you already locked it in by letting go of your left click, then you can hit Ctrl-Z, and that will cancel what you just did. Undo just like any other program. Okay, now let's select Edge in edit mode, and you'll see here that it allows us to select the edges and move specifically with the edges. Control Z to make that go away. Now let's look at face. And again, just as you would suspect, that allows us to interact with the faces of the object. And you can see how helpful that would be depending on what it is that you're trying to do. We're going to stay on face, and we're going to select the top face. And you'll know that it's selected because it has kind of an orange glow with a white outline on that face. We're going to hit I on the keyboard and inset this face to create the thickness that we want for our cup. So once you feel good about it, just left click. If you want to cancel that move, you can right click while you're in the middle of it, having not let go of the click, or you can hit Control Z to undo. Now I'm middle mousing to look at the side view, or let's just click on the X again. I'm going to go up here to the top right and select X-ray so that I can see through the cup. Now what I'm trying to do is to take the depth that we created for the thickness of the cup and keep it consistent all the way through the cup. We're going to drop this face down into the cylinder. Press E while that's still selected to extrude. And you'll notice that it already has the Z-axis selected, so we could go up with it if we wanted to, but we're going to go down inside of the cup to hollow it out. Once you feel good about the depth that you selected and that it matches the thickness of the outer rim of the cup, left click. Just the same as you would do with any other program, for example Windows, if you wanted to select multiple items at once, you're going to click and drag. I'm creating a rectangle that's going to include both this face inside and this bottom face. And now that we have both faces selected, we're going to taper in the bottom of the cup by pressing S on your keyboard to scale. And once again, when you get the taper that you like, left click. We're going to deselect X-ray and hit Tab. So now in object mode, I'm going to middle mouse click and hold to take a look around the cup. Nice simple cup shape. In order to get rid of these lines and make it a little bit smoother, below Scene Collection to the right is a blue wrench icon. These are our modifier properties. We're going to add 2 modifiers. If you click Add Modifier, it gives you 4 categories: Modify, Generate, Deform, and Physics. There's also a little arrow at the bottom that shows more. And as you see, if you just hover over it, it goes back and forth between options that we can't see because there are too many to list on one pane. They're all in alphabetical order by section, so under Generate, we're going to select Bevel. And under Segments, we're going to add 3 segments. Watch your cup as you increase your segments just to see what it does. It is smoothing out those lines and creating more segments so that it's less rigid and more beveled. For my cup, I'm going to select 3 segments. Keep in mind that when you add modifiers, the more you increase this number, for example, the segments, the more time your computer will have to spend rendering. So in the case of a large scene with many objects, you want to be thoughtful about the modifiers you're adding and at what level those modifiers are. We're going to add another modifier, click Add Modifier, and then use that little arrow to scroll down to Subdivision Surface, or Subsurf. I'm going to scroll down so that we can see it fully, and you can always widen this area so you can see more. It makes your viewport smaller, but it allows you better visibility for some of these options. For Levels Viewport, I'm going to select 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And as you can see, as I'm increasing, what it's doing is dividing these faces exponentially, so that you're creating a smoother and smoother cut on the shape. So by the time that I get to 4, it looks really nice. With the object still selected, right-click and select Shade Smooth. It will make the cup even smoother than it already is. Excellent! Here's another tip. If I hit Tab to return to edit mode, there are some view options that I can't see. They look like they're cut off. While your cursor is in a menu area, you can use your scroll wheel to see the options that are obstructed. I'm going to hit Tab, that was just an illustration, but the same thing is the case for this area here. I'm going to scroll down until I can see the red ball. This is Material Properties. And here's where it gets fun. Click Material Properties. In the top right, you'll see that we don't have any materials assigned to this object. Hit the plus sign, and that gives us a slot for a new material. We'll click plus New. And now we have a new material assigned. I think that this is a good time to also name the material and rename cylinder to cup. You can easily do that by double-clicking material point 001 and typing in cup, enter. And that's the name of our material now. And I'm going to do the same thing in the scene collection. Double-click cylinder and then just type in cup, enter. Scroll down, you can see lots of different options in this material area. There's so much fun you can have with this. But again, this is a simple cup, so we're going to keep it simple. If you select this white block in base color, it brings up a menu of 4 different slots, and it looks like 3, but then you have your eyedropper as well. You can select a color by red, green, blue, and you can alter any of those values with the sliders or within the wheel. You can choose hue, saturation, value, or you could type in a hex code, which is really awesome, especially if you have a specific color that you want to use. Instead, I'm going to choose the eyedropper, and I'm going to eyedrop right here, the blue circle around the letter Z. I'm going to make the cup blue. And as you see, it selected that color because now the base color is blue. Why is it not showing in the scene? So those are the 2 views that we were talking about before. We have Material Preview. We'll click that one in the top right of our viewport, and that shows us what the material looks like on the object. To the right of it is the Rendered Material Preview, which factors in the lighting of our scene as well. Speaking of light, now that we have the cup to the color that we like it, let's select it. I scrolled out, I'm going to select the light. You can choose 4 different light types: sun, spot, area, and I'm going to keep it on point, but you can play around with any option that you like. Same with the color, we'll select color. I'm going to use eyedrop again, and this time I'm going to select the X color, that hot, hot, hot pink. Let's zoom in and take a look at what we got here. Now you say, okay, I want to see what this will look like when it's rendered. A simple way to get the camera to the location that we want is Control-Alt-0. Once you get the cup at the angle and closeness that you want to see, hit Control-Alt-0. And now that shows us what it'll look like with this box around it, what the camera sees, what it will render like. And what we want to do is, rather than make this a rectangle, we're going to make it into a square. Within that same menu area, where the modifiers and materials are, choose Output Properties, right below Render Properties. The icon looks like a photo printer. And for the resolution of X, we're just going to click in there and change it to 1080, enter. I like my cup to be a little more centered, so I'm going to select this box. And you can do that by either clicking the box in the viewport, or you can select Camera on the top right of the scene collection. I'm going to use G to grab and move this around to be a little more center, or a little more the way that I like it. I actually like it slightly off center. And then left click to set the location. To exit camera mode so that we're seeing it again through the viewport and on the grid in the standard view, just hit number pad 0. This gives you a good idea now of what your camera sees and what it's going to look like when it renders. Let's select the light again. Another way, aside from using the arrows, that you can navigate around the screen is by using the numbers on your keyboard. I use the number 7 quite a bit, which shows in the top left which view we've selected, top orthographic. And that means that I get to see the scene from an aerial vantage. Now I can see from the top of the cup looking down. I can see where the camera is positioned, and it's a nice way to move things around the scene, and then be able to middle mouse scroll to see the object close up again. I'm actually going to move the light in closer to the cup. While the light is selected, as you see it's glowing orange, Shift D. And then I'm going to middle mouse click, and I'm going to move along this Y-axis. Left click to lock that position. So not only have I duplicated the light, but I moved it to where I want it to be. And if you didn't quite catch that, or you need to redo it, just hit Control Z. Make sure that you just have light instead of this light 0.001, which is the duplicate, and start over. I'm going to move this light a little bit further away. Okay, now I want to see the cup with both lights affecting it, 0. And as we had done with the cup, I think it's important to always name your objects as you're working so that it doesn't get confusing. Because now you have 2 lights, but which one's which? It's hard to tell at the moment because they're both the same color. Let's double click light, which was our first light in the scene. I like to keep things in alphabetical order, and to know that I have 2 lights, I'll start with the word light, and then I'll add some sort of factor afterwards that helps delineate between the two, like the color or style. I'll call the first light, light pink. Then I'm going to select the other light, and if you hit 0, then you know that it's selected with the orange highlight. I'm going to go down to light properties. It's a little light bulb icon. I'm going to select color, eyedrop, and now I'm going to choose the y-axis circle color, which is the lime green. That looks super cool. Since this light is a little further away, I'm going to change the power. Click into the power strength and change it from 1000 to 1500. Now it has an almost iridescent effect. You can also change your background in world properties, which is the little red globe icon. To see just our object without any other scene noise, deselect Show Overlays in the top right of the viewport. You can get a better sense of what it's going to look like when it's rendered. Returning to world properties, you can change the background to any color that you want, moving the slider around or use eyedropping. But for me, I'm going to Control Z that, and I'm going to keep it the same as what it already is, because actually the thing that I want to do is make the background transparent. Then I can take this cup and put it anywhere that I like. In Render Properties, which is the little camera icon, scroll down to Film. Go ahead and hit the drop-down caret and then choose Transparent. And there you are. You have a transparent background with just the object that you created with the perfect camera view affected by the custom lighting. So how would we render that? You can hit F12 on your keyboard, or for me, I have to hit Function F12, and here's your final image render. To save, select Image, Save As, and choose your preferred file type, for example, PNG or JPEG. And there you are! You have this beautiful, simple cup that you made in Blender. And to turn that off and make the background come back, deselect Transparent, select Show Overlays, and you can keep tweaking the scene as you prefer to make it your own. I hope you had a great time. I hope you learned something new. I hope you're going to make a simple cup and many more things in Blender. You can catch me and my work on ArtStation. Feel free to post and tag, or send me your final renders. I look forward to checking them out. Thanks for joining me. See you again soon.